Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jays Down podcast. I'm your host Jaden, and today we're going to be recapping the NFL Divisional games that took place this past weekend. Had two exciting games. Well, I'll say exciting, in a way, but I mean, the Seahawks and 49ers was a blowout. I kind of figured that was going to happen. I just San Francisco just did not match up well with like half their roster injured, against the Seahawks, and their amazing run defense, which ranks third in the NFL, and they showcased that, on Saturday, and they played really well. So kudos to them and Sam Darnold and crew for getting the win there, 41-6, amazing. This so when you're able to run the football in the playoffs, and your quarterback, if your quarterback he just make the plays that he needs to make, but you have an amazing running game, or if you even if it's not amazing, if it's a decent running game and you got a decent running back like Kenneth Walker is, I'd say he's good, between decent to good, then chances are you're going to win a lot in the playoffs. But we won't talk too much about that game because, like I said, Seattle just really handled the 49ers just very well. And now they'll be playing an NFC Championship game against the Rams. So we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But moving on to the Bills game, which is what the Bills and Broncos, which is the game everybody's talking about, right? The whole the overturned the play that was ruled an interception that everybody thought was a catch. I'm not gonna dive too deep into that because I mean plays like that happen, and calls like this happen. But either way you want to look at it, the Buffalo Bills just kind of shot themselves in the foot there anyway. Because I mean Josh Allen turned the football over a lot. He didn't play his best game, and the Broncos came out there and they played, they played really well in the first half. They kind of let up in the second half, but they came back and they made plays when they need to make them, and the Bills could not make the plays that they need to make when they needed to make them. And therefore, the Broncos won the game. Unfortunately, though, for them, Bo Nix, if you guys haven't heard, is out for the rest of the season because he suffered an ankle injury. So he's going to be out. Jarrett Stidham is going to get the start against the New England Patriots in an AFC Championship game. So that'll be interesting. So we'll have another Nick Foles type of run here, right? That's what Broncos fans are hoping for. That some of that magic will rub off from Jarrett Stidham, and he'll lead them to the promised land. Take down the Patriots, go to the Super Bowl, and play whoever they play and beat them. Backup quarterback comes in, right? Who knows? I mean, listen, anything can happen, right, in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Broncos were a team for me this year. Like they played really well, got the number one seed, and you know their defense was really great. For most of the year, they kind of start to struggle as the year came to a close. But I still think that's a little bit of a concern for me going up against the Patriots. In the AFC Championship game, in that matchup, the defense for Denver offensively, they were able to put up points, and despite on some stalled drives, they still were able to come back and put up some points there. But that'll be the question with Jarrett Stidham, and that crew. He hasn't played much football. I believe the last game he started was probably a year or so ago. So that those reps matter. When you're a player and you haven't played in a while, it's difference between playing and being in practice, throwing the football around the guys, in team period or offensive period and things like that, drills, as opposed to game speed. And when you haven't played in over a year, that's it's gonna be different, for sure. So we'll see how he handles that. But originally, now I had the listen. I had the Patriots. I mean, no, not the Patriots. I had the Bills, representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, against the Rams. But clearly, that's changed. The Texans, I thought, could have had a chance to make me wrong there. And speaking of which, in their divisional matchup against New England, they came out and just CJ Stroud wet the bed, I mean, just to put it plainly. 4 interceptions, not his best day. The offense has been kind of funky for the Texans all year. The past couple years. I mean, CJ Stroud had a great rookie year, but then the last couple years he's been kind of up and down. And this year, like I said, the offense has been kind of funky and strange. But their defense has been like the best in the NFL, as I talked about on this podcast a couple of times now. The Texans, it's a shame how that game went down because this is probably the best defense that we've seen in the playoffs in in some time now. Probably since that that Denver Broncos defense in the 2015, 2016 season, the year that they won the Super Bowl against the Panthers, or even going back to that Legion of Boom defense that the Seattle Seahawks had. And this Texans defense is the best defense that in this, for one, in this entire playoffs, and two, like I said, the best defense we've seen in a while. But and it's unfortunate for him that they couldn't move on and go to Super Bowl or go to the AFC Championship and even possibly the Super Bowl because the offense and CJ Stroud let them down. So I think going to the offseason, the Houston Texans have a lot of questions to answer for themselves. CJ Stroud, and I love CJ Stroud, man. He's a great guy. He's a humble dude and believer, in Jesus Christ, and I love that about him. And he's a great guy. But like I said, football wise, yeah, he didn't perform to the capability that we know he's capable of playing at. And unfortunately for the Texans, that caused them to lose that game. And, it just didn't work. He was pressured a lot. The offensive line now didn't help either. The offensive line has been a struggle for them as well throughout the season. So that was part of it. And, the offense just in general as a unit for the Houston Texans just what has not been on par with the defensive unit. So in football, I always say this, like, you three phases have to all be on one accord with each other, like working like an assembly line, working together to play complementary football. Otherwise, it's not you're not going to win. You're not going to be successful, no matter what the level is, whether it's high school, college, or the NFL. Special teams, defense, and offense all have to be playing. I mean, amazing football. Like you have to. They have to be. All three phases have to be on one accord with each other. All of them have to be playing um out of their minds because if your offense isn't doing anything, if your offense is stalling out drives, that affects the defense because now they're getting tired, they're having to come out, quicker than they'd like to, and you're putting them in short field disadvantages, and you're giving the other team good field position. I mean, if your defense has to come out every possession, with the offense starting the ball on the 40 or the 40-yard line, 50-yard line, I mean, sometimes, or even the 35-yard line, that's not good. That's not good. Because you're putting your defense at a disadvantage, and so that's why if you play a complementary football, your offense should be moving the ball down the field. You always want to end your offensive drives in case, whether that's a extra point or a field goal. No punts. You don't want to do that. That's or if you have to, yeah, punt, but you don't want to turn the football over because then you're putting your defense in a bad spot because you're giving the offense you're giving the offense great field position. You're putting them at a spot where they can have less field to work with. So defense and offense have to be on the same accord. Defense has to do their job, get stops, get the ball back for the offense. And so once they do that, then you're able to set your offense. So it's like they work together. Then you got special teams. Special teams. Kickoff, kick return, kickoff return, get the ball. You need to get your offense great field position. That should be your goal. Getting your offense good field position. If you can score a touchdown on the kickoff return like Rashid Shaheed, great, do that too. That helps. But playing complementary football on special teams, getting playing your lanes, running your lanes right. If you're on kickoff, not having stupid penalties if you're on punt return and punt, like, same deal. Hold your blocks. Don't hold. I mean, don't hold. Don't. There's no stupid penalties. Get the guy down. Run your lanes and make the tackle. Um, don't muff the ball if you're the punt returner. So all these things, man, they play a role. They're all connected. They play a role. Football is a team game. It's a team sport. And every unit has to be working on one accord with each other because otherwise you're not going to win. And for the Patriots, they played a good game. The offense wasn't spectacular by any means, but defensively they played well. Drake made plays when he needed to make plays, and like I said, for them, they didn't have to play spectacular offensively because the Texans they kept gifting them great field position and great plays because of the turnovers. So all that being said, yeah, Patriots are back in the AFC Championship game. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it, but hey, it's amazing what a new coach, a head coach with like Mike Vrabel can do in just, 1 year, his first year, taking his team to AFC Championship game, possibly to a Super Bowl appearance. We don't know. We'll have to see when they face off against the Denver Broncos next week. But now I want to shift my attention to the Rams and the Bears. I didn't catch much of this game, but I do know. Um, I mean, like I had the Rams come out the NFC the whole year. I just did. I don't. And I still have them coming out the NFC. Like I didn't see any team that could beat them this year. I liked how they played. Matthew Stafford has been a top quarterback in the NFL this entire season, even struggling a little bit later on towards the end of the year. He still has been a top quarterback. Their offense. I mean, they can run the football decently enough for Kyrie Williams and crew in the backfield. Blake Corum, the receiving core. I mean, we all know how great Putin and Kua is, and Devontae Adams led the league in touchdown receptions this year. They got a great core. Their defense is young, but they're fast. They're good. They fly to the football. So secondary is a little bit questionable at spots, but overall the Rams are a greatly coached team. They're a greatly built team, and you know. I think they're going to. I do believe they are going to go to Super Bowl. I don't have no doubt about it. And the Bears had a great run this year. I mean, just I think they're very close, and so just got some things to clean up here and there, maybe shore up the defensive line a bit, get some pass rushers on that side of the football. I think they'll be a good team in the years to come. Caleb Williams definitely he's turned things around. He's had a great season. Ben Johnson obviously helps with that being the head coach, but so that's my thoughts on the Bears and the Rams. And uh yeah, so my conference championship game predictions, I got the Rams beating the Seahawks, and I got the Patriots beating the Denver Broncos. So Rams Patriots rematch of Super Bowl 53 from 2018. Obviously completely different rosters from both on both sides, but from I do believe that that's gonna be a Super Bowl that we'll see out in San Francisco at Levi's Stadium. Come February. Yeah, Rams Patriots. I'm looking at right now. I mean, I've had the Rams like I said all year, but originally had the Bills come out the AFC. That obviously didn't happen this year. So next best bet, Rams and Patriots, guys. Super Bowl. It's gonna be Rams and Patriots. I think it's gonna be that's gonna be a good game. I'm calling that right now. Okay. Um, yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Jay's Fifth Down. Like I said, I want you guys to leave your thoughts and predictions, about the divisional game matchups, and what are your thoughts on the conference championship games we'll have next week, and who you think is going to win, who's going to represent the NFC and the AFC in the Super Bowl. Please let me know. Please subscribe to this channel. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok. Follow us there, Jay's Fifth Down Pod. You know, and just turn on post notifications so you'll stay up to date when we post. But we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.